Hardships are going to happen in your life. A lot of us have self inflicted a lot of things that happen to us. And the reason why that is because we're conditioned to shrink in the time where you should rise. And when you go back to why is this, it's the human mind is designed, it's 2 million years old, and it thinks fear. It responds to fear. People use fear in the world of marketing to keep you locked in. When the pandemic came, all you saw was people using fear to drive numbers up. And this thing that we reflect back to, it's all about hardship. That's where we're most comfortable. But there are three things that you can do and that will happen during a hardship when you are facing one. And that's even starting this week. Today, someone is introduced to a new hardship. One of the things that you can do is you can decide this thing is going to crack me and I'm going to shrink in the moment. Or the other option is to know that this is my opportunity for my epiphany. See, the only thing that you can do during this time is choose. So those are the three things. You can shrink and get crushed, or you can rise, because that's the moment that your epiphany will happen in your life. Because you have to choose. There is no middle ground. No matter who you are, you've experienced crap and you've always had similar methods in dealing with it. And when you're in that boat, that means you're in a place right now that you're being tested. Now, do you realize that in this moment that that's exactly what's happening? Because most of us don't. We don't understand that during this time you're being tested to get to your next grade. But most of the time we decide to do what we did before because that's more familiar. That's easy to do. But there's a reason why there are people who are very successful and then there are people that are not. I had a person and a business associate, someone that I've done clinics with and seminars. This person years ago had the opportunity to argue with his mom in such a profound way, just truly wanting her to stop being abusive to drugs. And this person, him and his mom clashed. She said, "You'd never be anything." And this is something that will shrink a person. But you know what's so funny about this story is this person decided to say, it's not going to happen to me. So one night he went to work and he was a janitor and he worked at an office building and it was about 7, 8 miles from his house. And so he went to work fuming mad and just have been in a position where he's run into a hardship. And so as he worked and he does his buckets, he's emptied the trash and he's doing his custodial duties. So he catches the bus. So he went outside one night and he got done at like 11 p.m. And so one night he went outside and it was raining outside. And it was just the scene was set for the perfect storm. So he was at the bus stop and he was waiting for the bus to come. And he was out there and he noticed that the bus was 15 minutes late. And then it was 30 minutes late. And then it was an hour late. And then he realized something ain't right. So a guy pulls up and he's telling him, "Hey, well, you waiting for the bus?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, the bus drivers are on strike." So you can't make this story up. Like, these are the kind of things that happen to people in a domino effect. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, this is bananas." So he's waited 3 hours for the bus. And you got a decision to make in that moment. What are you going to do? So 7 miles away from the house, he decided, I'm going to walk home. So he gets his mind in the right place. And what we call this is called physiology. This is called waking your body up for the call. And this is one of the main reasons people need coaching, because they can do what they need to do in those moments. They just don't understand how to get themselves there. That's why people hire coaches. Teams have to have coaches. So he walked down the street. He started walking, and then as the time went, he started to think about how his mom would disrespect him and call him all sorts of names, and says how he would never be anything. And that's one of the things that could drive a person. And so as he started to walk home, he started to get madder, and he decided to use this as fuel instead of cracking. And when you are faced with this kind of turmoil, like I said, there are two things that you can do. You can shrink and do what you've always done: scarcity, mindset, familiarity, failure mentality. Or you can rise and you can decide and you can have an epiphany and you can move to the next grade. That's your test. And this man made the decision to take off, not only walk, but took off running, and made a conscious decision to not even worry about taking a bus anymore. Every night he would run and run and run home after work. For hours at a time, it would take you to get home whenever it's 11 miles. And when you are in that boat, there are a couple of things that a human being can do by nature. They can naturally shrink, or they can rise and become the person that they were meant to be. And the person that they will be moving forward on this planet, knowing that when I get to a pivotal point, that this will be who I become. And that's what happens in the access point of a human. You're stuck right now in a situation that you've kind of always been in because it's familiar. And that's why there's only 1% of the people in this country that will always continue to rise, because they have the actual formula. Now, when I talk about this individual, it wasn't the person declined in life, they rose. And many, many businesses later, this individual continued to grow and become this person. And this is who he ended up becoming.
You really need to get yourself a coach. You need a professional who's already got results. Make sure you're clear what you want, really want, why you want it, where you really are, come up with some action steps. Then you got to crush, destroy, annihilate those limiting beliefs that are getting in the way, and then replace them. And you got to do it in your body, not just in your head. You do it with me, I'll do it with you, or you got to do it on your own, but you got to do it. And you got to do it over and over until it's so powerful. It just happens. It's got to become a habit. If you have to wait to think, it's not going to work. The old pattern will take over. Massive action is the cure-all. You got to change your physiology. You got to change your breath. You got to change your voice. You got to make that change. If you just try to take massive action in a low state, it won't happen. But once it's there, once you're trained to take action, you're going to get momentum. Because what if a lot of people say, but what if I take the wrong action? Well, better take the wrong direction and go full tilt, because you'll find out it's not working and you can change it. But if you sit there at the crossroads going, I don't know what to do, I don't want to make a mistake, then you've already made the biggest mistake of all. I am never leaving the site of a decision without doing something in that moment that guarantees I have to follow through later on. Momentum comes from massive action.
And that, my people, the man I was talking about today is known as Tony Robbins. You see, the reason why certain people rise, because he was from poverty. His father, he had four fathers, and they were all broke. They couldn't even afford Thanksgiving dinner. Literally, a man came to their house to basically charitable, the church gives and does things during the holidays, and his father didn't even want to receive it. Literally fussed the guy out. And Tony was a child, and he said, if you were man enough, the thing about it is, he didn't say these words, but he was basically saying it's not for you really, it's for the child. And Tony was behind him, and he was teared up, and he didn't even know how to receive it. And eventually, the father allowed the man to leave the turkey so that they could eat, because that's the pride of a man who's made decisions, who don't know where to fold them, when to put that ego aside for a greater good. But see, when you start to see turmoil happen in your life and things that go through your day to day, things that will judge who you will be moving forward, see, he took massive action. Not only did he not go back into his job and just sit there and sulk or blame his mom, who literally said he would never be or amount to anything. He took off from the bus stop, and he got it into his mindset that he was not going to fail, and he used that as he ran, and he screamed out loud. And that was the what we call an incantation that we in masterminds use. We've come familiar with this, because what that does is it changes not only the mindset but your physiology, that you're ready to take what we call today massive actions in those moments where your times of hardship approach you, and you get to that mindset that you are now going to overcome. Even if it's been self-inflicted, you're not going to let it define you, and you're going to take immediate action so that that never happens again, and that now you're going into a place where you are going to adopt new problems, because now is your time. Anytime something is in front of you, you're willing to take massive action and face it head on. And not only are you not going to have a scarcity mindset, which is do what's normal, what is comfortable, now you're going to take massive action for your epiphany. You're on the epiphany bridge mentality now. Say it for me. I'm on the epiphany bridge mentality. Say it again. I'm on the epiphany bridge mentality. I got the epiphany bridge mentality. That is an incantation. I am a winner. I am a winner. Anytime someone insults you and tries to make you feel small, you remember who you are, because you are a winner when that's your mindset. You are successful when that's your mindset, because laws of attraction is a real thing. And these are the things that we have to be clear on when we talk about think bigger, which is what this is. This isn't about a moment. This isn't about momentarily. This is about actions that couple with your knowledge of self. When you have knowledge of self, it's easy to take the massive action to change your mentality by knowing what to do. Number one, make sure that you know how to say what it is that you are. I am great. I serve greatness. I am a winner. And repeat that until it's inside of you. I do what we call a double step. And that's when you take a habit that you have, brushing my teeth, and I have to add something to what it is that I need in order to change my physiology. So I have to go to the bathroom. I have to pick up my toothbrush with the opposite hand that I actually brush with. So I pick it up with my left hand. And in the mirror, before I start going, I say, I love you. I love you. I love you 10 times. That's an incantation, because in order for you to love yourself the way God loves you, you have to remember how it feels to love yourself. So if you say that over and over and over again, by the fourth, fifth time, the way you say it sounds different. I love you. And the reason why this is important is because your body doesn't know that it's you telling yourself that. It's like someone else is saying it to you, and the tone changes. and your cells regenerate. They start to operate differently. And now they're in a tantric mode of love. And therefore, you will find your voice changing. You will find the way you looking in the mirror different. And you're giving yourself godly love by saying it to yourself, because these are what we call incantations. When you repeat it over and over again, it happens. Some of you call it laws of attraction. The other people call it, it's an incantation. It happens. And then you add the action to it. I'm brushing my teeth and I'm saying this thing because I know I'm going to brush my teeth a minimal of twice a day. I'm going to do something that I have to do already. That's called double stacking. And when you double stack, this allows you to get to that next phase of where you need to get to, because you're already doing this one thing. And now the thing that you need to add, you're doing it during that thing, that time. And so when you start to envision yourself in the future, you have a method now, you have a coaching technique, you have something to answer to, and that is you. You have someone to make sure that that thing is going to actually happen. So you're not going to get up into a mindset when you have a hardship that, oh, it's just a hardship, I'll just shrink and get on my phone and scroll and see who else is winning. Maybe someone else is also in this place, because misery loves company, so I'll feel better about that. That's not what you do. You can solve this all now today with an iPhone. Because the moment you start to share and speak and talk about what it is that you're going through, and share your pain and share your triumphs with people, everything else starts to fall together. Everything else starts to fall together. And the day is all about knowing exactly where you are and what startles you, and how to not allow that to startle you. So here are things that a lot of the people that we work with, they've run into this problem. And so I'm going to share a, a little video from last week's show that allows you to see what steps do people who are in the world of social media management take in order to help a person do what we call message and say the right words whenever they decide, this is what I want. I want a better version of myself. How do I approach getting a better version of yourself? Well, the first thing that you must do is know who you are. And the only reason I get better at having the conversation about becoming a much better and a more impactful figure is knowing exactly who is it that I'm talking to. And the conversation that I have for you is something that everybody deals with. First, that's the first thing you must know to do. You have to talk about a problem that's universal, and then understand the demographic. Once that person has heard you, that they can rise and surface and say, hey, you're talking to me. That's the second thing that'll happen. And so last week we had a great young man on, and I'm going to share a segment. It's about 7 or 8 minutes. So if you got a few minutes, I think it's worth taking the time to learn how to apply messaging into your life today. Because in order to get to another level, you have to stop thinking of scarcity mindset and start thinking bigger. And it starts here. Enjoy the tape. Thanks again. If you got a second, let us know exactly where is it that you're watching this from. It matters. Check it out. What are some things that you see that gets in people's way, though? Because I know a lot of people hit you up. I know if I hit you up, I know people were just like hitting you up in your DMs. Go into that.
I think one of the biggest things I know that gets in people's way is they value virality, and they don't quite understand that there is no intrinsic value in virality. Having a viral moment does not convert to engagement. It does not convert to sales. It does not necessarily convert to follows. All that is doing is putting you in front of people so that they can see something that you have created. But if you haven't created it with the intention to gain follows or to convert people, you will have just a lot of wasted energy and eyes. And I think
Yeah.
that everybody who gets into this thing, their immediate thing is, okay, how long before we go viral? So what are we going to do for virality? Not understanding that what you should be optimizing for if you're a business is
Mhm.
conversion. And I think that there's a very big disconnect, because if you've ever purchased anything on the internet, 9 times out of 10, you did not leave a comment. You just went to purchase. And so people think that they need people to be commenting and arguing in the comment section. And no, you need to be optimizing for conversion by knowing who it is you're speaking to
Mhm.
and what you can do to trigger their interest and desire in your product or solution.
Wow. So that's a great point. So for I got some owners, some business owners, they're watching. I see some people chiming in. Let me see, what's her name? Is it Pamara? You're speaking. Hey, how you doing? Special shouts, Coach Robber. Special shouts out to you from to Australia. Good to see you guys.
Thanks.
What is exactly one thing that a
Mhm.
person right now, one of these individuals who's watching, who really wants to take the very next step, what is one next step that they can take? Maybe they do feel comfortable in front of the camera, but
Mhm.
what is one tip that you would give them whenever they record their next video?
Before they even record a video, I would tell them to go on an engagement hunt. And what an engagement hunt is where you go and you find people who are adjacent to your niche, who are talking about the same things or similar things that you're talking about. You guys may share an audience or an audience profile, right? And
Mhm.
you want to go on their accounts, and you actually want to go, if you're on Instagram, you're going to go tap on the button that says Instagram on your
Mhm.
home feed, pull that down, make sure it says following, right? You tap on the following button, and now when you're on your timeline, every single post that you see will not be older than an hour. So now it's really your timeline. It's all of the new posts that are coming in. And so if you switch over to that, you can be one of the first people to comment on someone else's creative work, and you can now borrow their audience's attention. And so if I'm releasing a video and you follow me and I say, here's 5 ways to boost your audience from Instagram, you want to come in and say, well, these are great, but here's a 6th step. So now when my audience actually sees that I have some value to give, they know that you too have some value to give that is adjacent to what I am saying. And that is going to eliminate the necessity for someone to create videos. It's also going to organically start to allow you to build an audience and a community, because it's happening in the comment section. So people can reply back and say, oh, this is great, or I don't understand all of this. Now you are doing hand-to-hand, one-on-one combat, and you would be surprised how easy it is to start growing a following just from borrowing someone else's audience and being adjacent to that. That's one of the hacks that I don't give out. That's not even on my page. I haven't made a video talking about that, but that is a huge hack.
Look, you can use it. You can use what you just did. We'll send you the video because you already shot it.
Yep.
Hey, use that long form content.
Yep.
See, you see, people, what happens the more that you do it, the more that it becomes your second nature. There's someone right now that has not turned that camera on, or they made an attempt, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just they like they just what is something that you could encourage them to do that might spark that energy? Because what you just said kind of was it, but
No, I got
like
you.
there are people. Yeah, there's an individual. I'll just use it. He recorded a video under our banner for the first time, and he realized, whoa, I should be doing this more often. I'm like,
You think?
yeah. So put your on it. What could
Well,
it
what's
do?
the hurdle, right? So is the hurdle just producing, or is the hurdle that he's not comfortable on camera? What is the actual
Yeah,
hurdle?
it was a little bit of out of sight, out of mind. If nobody's holding the camera on me, I'm not even thinking about doing it. But you want to, and you know you need to, but that thing always stands in your way. Some people say, I record myself, I don't like the way I sound. I say, I hate the way I sound too. I would love to sound like Barry White or Denzel Washington, but my voice is what I got.
Yeah.
That's the audience I'm gonna attract.
100%. I think so.
Yeah.
This is twofold, right? Number one, I think that we are our own worst critics, right? There's so many times where I've worked with people who have had great videos that did not necessarily perform well, and so they'll go ahead and they'll archive it, right? And the reason why they do that is because they don't want to be attached to a video
Mhm.
that didn't get the results that they feel best represents them. The funny
Yeah.
thing is, nobody knows how many views my last video got. When you came to
Correct.
find my page, you had no idea how many people had viewed that video. It doesn't show
Correct.
you that. And so the
Yeah.
only people who actually genuinely pay attention to those numbers and those results are the people who create it. And so the best
Yeah.
thing you can do is give yourself the permission and the freedom to create freely, just to have a conversation. I think a lot of people get stuck in a way where they think that they have to perform and they have to show up on camera a certain way because of what they've seen, not realizing that authenticity is the thing that connects people to other
Yeah.
human beings. It's also the thing that stops you from having burnout. When people get
Yeah.
creator burnout, it's because they're too busy trying to live a life and tell a story that is not authentic to them. You can't burn out if you are authentic. When I get on there, I'm genuinely just speaking about things that I love. And I'll give you a pro tip. I'm talking directly to my brother, who is somebody who is a business owner and needs help on social media. And I'm leaving a legacy for my unborn children so that they can know exactly what it was that I did that landed them this lifestyle that they're now living. So that's when you change the mentality, you'll
Yeah.
find the unlock for you to create with freedom, because all you have to do is show up with authenticity.
That is game right there.
You really need to get yourself a
And that's the thing. Knowing exactly who you're talking to in this world is going to be a powerful thing, and making sure that you got people who got your best interests. So hopefully you had a good takeaway from that. And there's just not the fact that you have to go out here and do it, but you want to understand how to do it, and it looks a certain way. And when you do it a certain way, you'll get that result. And a lot of you, there's somebody out there right now who truly has a spirit of winning, but they just don't have the actual steps. And your word, your messaging, being clear, knowing that these things all have a particular method to it. And when you know the method, you start to really get it starts to become second nature. So you're feeling a certain way, but you shouldn't feel that way, because the bottom line is the only reason things are tough is because you just don't understand the process. But your triumphs will happen once you decide a couple of things. And I want you to take this with you, and don't underestimate the value of having quality people in your corner. And maybe it's your own brother. Maybe you guys just make a decision to just get in each other's corner all the way, and don't take minimal action, but take massive actions with it. Maybe it's a person that's a coworker or someone that's on your team. But if you do this the right way, this is how you'll get a particular result. And I'm gonna bring up, and then I'm going to close this out. A powerful message and conversation from a man who has gone through so much and has been at such a high level in the world of in the NFL. And he offers a crazy cool class at the University of Miami. And now, if you stay on, you'll also find out something else. This is
Think
my
that
man.
character now and behavior becomes the focal point. It's doing things the right way,
Yeah.
and not just having rules, but more or less. Like, I never believed in rules. Dove talks about that. Rules have to be memorized. People find loopholes. You have to have
Hmm.
sanctions for rules, and then they have to be and nobody can memorize them anyways. But if you have standards, behavior standards that
Standards.
are of show your humanity and have character, then
Hmm.
I mean, I always tried, for example, the janitor was just as important as the quarterback. And here,
Absolutely.
and then I believe that we coach and teach Generation Y, WHY, so I mean, and I think that's fair. I think we have to be able to explain why we do things and why behavior matters.
That is Coach Mark Trestman, now of the San Diego Chargers. He's won multiple world championships over in the CFL, multiple. Um, a book, the author of a great book. It was not The Intangibles, but it was. I'll pull it up and I'll make sure I put it down in the link. But here he is today. He's currently head coach now of the San Diego Chargers. I mean, offensive coordinator, and he was chosen by Coach Harbaugh. And now he's, of course, formerly of the Chicago Bears. And we thank him for taking time to spend a great conversation with us. But his whole focus is helping you focus on the reinvention of yourself. And Coach Trestman is just, he thinks bigger, and he moved on that needle and went from the NFL teaching to teaching people at universities, and created a class, leadership class, and that leadership class became a staple over there at the university. And he said that he only speaks specifically. I said, yeah, 4 million people will eventually see this. He's like, well, I'm talking to one person. So one of the things that I'm going to say to you that will help you with your journey is, don't try to talk to this abundance of people. We've streamed several times over the weekend, and we've had an abundance of maybe 60,000 people that just have watched our stream, 75,000, that just our streams, our live streams like this. And no matter how many people are watching, talk to one. And that's when you learn to talk to your avatar, the person that is most likely the same person that you'll choose to be on an island with if all was said and done. That one person. And that was one takeaway that I got from Coach Trestman when we had our conversation, and I've known him for years. So just remember, no matter what's going on, you're talking to one person. You might have a conversation that's abundantly covering a lot of the same situations and scenarios that are currently today, but you're talking to one person. And when you start using that model and start implementing, getting coaching to help you really get and refine the techniques that it takes to do this thing that we do in social media, just like the other young man, there's a way that you go about this. I don't just turn on the camera. You're tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, but that stuff doesn't, it's only one of the tools. The thing is what I know to say and how I know to say it and how I bring you in and how I help you figure things out, your very next step. So I have to meet you where you are. Tony Robbins, the exact same principle, knowing how to get into a person's chest and so that they can reach their physiology. So hopefully you'll know that you're here to overcome not just your regular day-to-day issues, but your hardships. Hardships are something that compounds over a course of time, and that ends up becoming the boiled rotten egg that's interfering with you. During those times, you now decide, I have an action step. I will double stack my solutions. And when I'm brushing my teeth, that other habit that I have to accrue, even if it's just saying to the people, I need to know how to open up a sentence, open up a conversation by using a hook. 3 ways to overcome stress and anxiety. Even if you're just doing that, take some form of an action The double stack of habits so that you'll get the repetition that you will need, because it'll take repetition. Because to stand out and look different than everybody else, you got to do what they won't do. And it first starts with using your phone. You don't need all this fancy equipment and all these lights and all of these mics. The only thing you need to do now is start. So once you start, you'll see yourself where things used to be stressful. Now you're working with a major NFL team. Now you've gone from hardship, not even having Thanksgiving food, to being the biggest name in self-development in the world in Tony Robbins. You'll take hardships and turn them into your triumphs, because both of these men, all three of these young men, all did it. They all took their situations and they thought bigger, and they tried. They attempted to make it from one area of life to the next. And that is all about the actions that you're willing to take and the process that's there for you to begin them. So one of the books that I suggest is that you try the method of thinking. Thinking is where it all begins. The ability to, I got abundance of phones, abundance of great books. The book I will refer you to is Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. And I'll put the visual up here so you guys can get a visual of the book cover. And this is what it looks like. Oops, I actually hit the. So you take a look at this. I'm reading 12 books simultaneously, 14 books. I try to do a book a week easily, because in order to become wealthy, you have to accrue the knowledge of 52 books minimal a year. And that didn't even seem real. I said, who could do that? But now I know, because now I'm doing it. So this is how you get there. Think and Grow Rich. Find something that you can use to stimulate your mind and show you a pathway, and then get coaching. So wherever you are, the next level resides there. The only thing that you have to focus on is the epiphany instead of the small thinking. Then the mindset that's self-inflicted, and change your mind and accomplish things that you never thought you would and that people didn't think you could. That's how you get to your next level, by thinking bigger and having the action steps that's applicable to take you to your next level. That's all for this week. Until Wednesday, you guys continue blessings, and always remember, you are here for a reason. And the day that you discover that, that's when you will get on the mission to attack it, not just have it in front of you, but attack it. Because there are only 2 days that matter in your life. And you don't have to think about any of the others, because they don't matter. The one is the day that you were born. And then the day that you find out why. Those are the only 2 days that matter in your life, because those are the days that it begins, day one for you. So day ones, overcome and take massive action in your life. That's all I got. Coach Bradley signing out. Be blessed at Godspeed. If you have any questions, make sure you can reach out to us. If you're in that place where you want to take your game to the next level, make sure you reach out to us at jabjuice.com. Until then, I'll see you guys Wednesday when we get into it once again. And I'll see you all soon in the winner's circle. Peace out, guys. Thanks again.